Hello chess fans, this is Rick from Chess to Impress with coverage of the Blitz section of the 2018 Grand Chess Tour event in Paris, in France. The event consisted of 3 days of Rapid and 2 days of Blitz. These were the 10 participants: Grishuk, Hikaru Nakamura, Aronian, Vachier-Lagrave, the home player, Mamedyarov, Karyakin, Anand, So and Kramnik. These were the standings after the Rapid event, 9 rounds of Rapid, double points on offer. Wesley So led the field with 4 wins, 4 draws and only 1 loss. Nakamura and Karyakin were only 1 point behind them. And then they went to the Blitz section for 18 rounds of Blitz, so a total of 27 rounds of chess for this Paris Grand Chess Tour event. In this video I'll show you the game between Shahryar Mamedyarov and Hikaru Nakamura. It was round 26 in total, so round 17 of the Blitz section, the penultimate round. Let's get into the game. Played on the 24th of June 2018, Mamedyarov opened with d4 and Nakamura played knight f6. Knight f3, e6, e3, c5, bishop d3, d5, b3, knight c6, castling from Mamedyarov, bishop e7, bishop b2, Nakamura castled, knight bd2, b6 and a3. Grandmaster Sarwan in the live broadcast explained that this move is mainly to keep a knight out of b4, which could attack our lovely bishop on d3. Bishop b7, queen e2, as Sarwan called it, everybody's happy, just developing the pieces. Queen c7, rook ac1, in preparation of the c2, c4 push. Rook ac8, and there comes c4, and we have this nerve center of the 4 pawns. A friend of mine has a theory on this. He says that weaker players cannot live with a nerve center like that, and they can maybe live with it for 1 move, maybe 2 moves, but then one of the players will take a pawn to take away the tension and to take away having to calculate all those captures every move. Of course, grandmasters don't have that problem. They can easily live with a nerve center like that. But in this case, that nerve center is solved straight away. Nakamura took on c4. B takes, and c takes d4, e takes d4, and now we have the hanging pawns, as we call them. Pawns next to each other without protection from other pawns beside them. And it was Tarrasch, the great Siegbert Tarrasch, who said, if you're afraid of playing with hanging pawns, you shouldn't play this game. Well, hanging pawns are generally seen as a weakness, but Tarrasch thought you should not be afraid of them. And Mamedyarov is not afraid. He went for this. Rook fe8, rook fe1, queen b8, knight e4, and now strange move from Nakamura, knight a5. The grandmasters in the live broadcast, Sarwan and Ramirez, thought this was a very dangerous move, inviting white's attack on the king side with the knight on a5 now far away. We will see that attack in the game. It gets very exciting. One of the ideas is to play d5 and bishop takes f6, but Mamedyarov went for another idea. He played knight eg5, and now there are sacrifices on f7 and e6 in the position. Queen f4, good move from Nakamura. And now let's look at a few variations. If you now take on f7, then taking with the king is very dangerous because of queen takes e6 check, king f8 and knight e5. And there really is no defense against queen f7 checkmate. So after knight takes f7, we should not take that piece. The move here that saves the game for black is bishop takes f3, taking that piece, that attacking piece, away from white. Queen takes e6. Let's look at the variation. And then black has a very nice move. Bishop takes a3 with a discovered attack on the queen. It looks very dangerous still for black. Is there not a smothered mate here? Well, let's have a look. We have knight h6, and that's a double check. Both the queen and the knight give check. And the only way you can answer a double check is by moving the king. If you move the king to f8, then it's checkmate on f7. So you have to go to h8. And what about that famous smothered mate? Can we not just play queen g8 check here? Well, taking with the rook, then we get indeed the smothered mate. But after queen g8 check, we can also take with the knight. Knight takes g8. And now knight f7 is not checkmate, because the queen is on f4, protecting that square. That's why queen f4 was an important move. And here black wins. Okay, so there's no smothered mate available. Let's go back. We played knight takes f7. Bishop takes f3 is really important to save the game for black. Then we played queen takes e6. Bishop takes a3 with a discovered attack on the queen. Knight h6 check. Double check. There is no smothered mate available. But after king h8, we have a draw with white. We can play knight f7 check, king g8 only move, and knight h6 check with a repetition of moves. So the conclusion is after knight takes f7, we have a forced draw. And that's why Mamedyarov went for another sacrifice. He didn't sacrifice his knight on f7, he sacrificed his knight on e6. And that knight was taken. Queen takes e6 check. And if you go to f8, there is this knight e5 idea again, with a forced checkmate on f7. So Nakamura played his king to h8. Knight a5 now came as well. And bishop f8 was played, with this discovered attack on the queen. If you now play knight f7 check, king g8, we have the draw again. Knight a6 check, king h8. And knight f7 check. We have seen it already. But after bishop f8, Mamedyarov did not go for that variation. He wanted to win and played his queen back to h3. And now there's a big threat of, do you see it? Knight g6, winning the queen. It's a fork, and this pawn is pinned. It cannot take that knight. So that's a big threat. So king g8 was played by Nakamura, and now bishop f5 is the only move to get an advantage. It has a threat. Let's look at the threat. Let's play a very silly move for black just to show the threat. If you play something like a6, which doesn't make any sense, but then there is bishop e6 check, and if the king then goes to h8, there is checkmate on g6. It doesn't only win the queen, it's actually checkmate. So bishop f5 in this position is the only move that gives white an advantage. Mamedyarov did not find it, and after king g8, instead of bishop f5, he played knight d7, and that's a bad move. Let's look at a few variations. What if we take that knight? That might have been Mamedyarov idea, that Nakamura would take the knight. If you then take back, then rook takes e1 check, rook takes, and look at this move, queen d2. This is a very nice position. Black is attacking all three white's pieces that are unprotected. And if you look at the black pieces, the queen is attacking the rook, but is protected by the bishop. The queen is also attacking the bishop, but is protected by the knight. All black's pieces are protected, and all white's pieces are hanging. And this is winning for black. So back to the move from the game. Knight d7, bad move. We just took on d7. And instead of taking back, there is queen takes h7 check for white. And then king f7 only move. Bishop g6 check. King f6 only move. You take on e8. Rook takes, and this is a position with a very strange material imbalance. Black has 3 light pieces for 2 rooks. But white has a winning position here. Just compare the two kings. The white king very safe on g1. The black king in open space with lots of white pieces around it. Okay, back to the game. Knight d7 was played, and we just looked at a few variations involving knight takes d7, but Nakamura did not go for that. He played a much better move. He played knight e4. And it was Grandmaster Ramirez who explained this. He said, black has an extra piece, but he also has the compensation for that piece, and now he also has the initiative. And black has a great position here. One threat is to take on f2, and that's why Mamedyarov played f3. Knight g5 hitting the queen, queen h5, and now the strongest move here is rook takes e1 check. Rook takes e1 and queen d2. We already saw that with that black queen attacking all these pieces. This was a variation that was found in a live broadcast without an engine by international master Jovanka Huska. Yes, she's also a very strong player. But Nakamura found another move. He played rook e3. Attacking that bishop. If you take the rook, queen takes check, king h1, and then you can take on c4. You can take that pawn, bringing your offside knight back into the game, which is your extra piece, because taking on c4 check does not work, because you just can take that bishop. White cannot recapture because of a back rank checkmate. After rook e3, Mamedyarov did not take the rook. He played knight e5, brings his knight back from that unfortunate square on d7 and protects the attacked bishop. Here bishop d6 is the strongest move, but Nakamura went for rook takes d3. He took the piece anyway. The knight took, and now queen f5. Nice move. The threat is knight takes f3, and it is check with a discovered attack on the queen. And the queen can now not take on f3 because it's also protected by the bishop. That would win the white queen. d5 was played by Mamedyarov to make sure the bishop is no longer attacking the f3 pawn. So now this queen winning combination does not work. But Nakamura took on c4, bringing that offside knight back in the game and just winning another pawn. Bishop a1, bishop takes d5, taking another pawn. King h1, rook c6, bringing the rook into the attack this way. Knight f2, and here rook h6 is very strong, but Nakamura played queen g6, offering a trade of queens. If you take the queen, rook takes back, and black has a winning position with two pieces for the rook. Winning endgame. But after queen g6, Mamedyarov did not go for the queen swap. He saw it was a lost endgame, so he played queen g4. Knight e3, powerful move again from Nakamura. Attacking the queen, and you cannot take the knight. Rook takes e3, rook takes c1, check, and checkmate in a few moves. So after knight e3, Mamedyarov counter-attacked black's queen with rook takes c6. Nakamura took the queen, Mamedyarov took black's queen, and the last move of the game, knight takes f2 check, and immediately Mamedyarov resigned. Why did he resign? Is it really that bad? Well, yes it is. King g1 is the only move, and then before taking the rook back, black has a few instructive intermediate moves. You can play knight f h3 check first to break up white's pawn structure. Then you can take another pawn, knight takes f3 check. And after king f2 you can choose which rook you want to take. Both rooks are hanging. So you can take on g6 and you have a winning position. Two pieces for the rook and an extra pawn. Taking on e1 is even better. Now white has to save his rook. For example, rook g5. And now 2 black pieces are hanging, but there is knight d3 check, again an intermediate move. King e3, bishop c4, and everything is protected. And black again has these 2 light pieces and an extra pawn for the rook. Winning position, easy technique for a super grandmaster like Hikaru Nakamura. That was a big win for Nakamura in the penultimate round, and in the last round he beat his countryman Fabiano Caruana from a lost position, and he won the tournament, not only the Blitz section, but he won the overall Paris Grand Chess Tour event. You can see that he scored 12 points out of 18 Blitz games, more than anybody else, and with 23 points in total, he was 1.5 points ahead of Sergei Karyakin. Karyakin led the tournament after day 4. He played a very good first half of the Blitz section, but on the last day he didn't play as well. So Karyakin in second place, Wesley So after winning the first Grand Chess Tour event in Leuven and winning the Rapid event in Paris. As you can see, he scored 50% in the Blitz. He had many draws. I think of his last 13 Blitz games he drew 12, and he became third on his own in this Paris Grand Chess Tour event. Aronyan fourth, and you can see the rest of the participants there. Nakamura wins 13 Grand Chess Tour points with his victory and $37,500. Karyakin 10 points and $25,000, and you see the rest of the field there. After 2 events in the Grand Chess Tour, we see Wesley So on top, with his win in Leuven and his 3rd place in Paris with 21 points, and the prize money is very nice. Nakamura is 2nd, Karyakin 3rd. The Grand Chess Tour continues in August in St. Louis with 2 events. First we get the Rapid and Blitz. You may remember it from last year when Garry Kasparov took part in that event. I don't think he'll play this year, but you never know. And that Rapid and Blitz event in St. Louis is followed straight afterwards with the classical Sinkfield Cup. The top 4 of the Grand Chess Tour after the 4 events will qualify for the London Chess Classic in December, which will be also the Grand Chess Tour finals. Hope you enjoyed this video on the Paris Grand Chess Tour. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up and please subscribe to the Chess to Impress channel. Please leave a comment, and you also may want to check out my Chess to Progress channel. The link is in the description box. I'm linking the video here on the first video I did on the Paris Grand Chess Tour, the Rapid event. This is Rick for Chess to Impress. Thank you for watching.